In an era where Japanese game studios were scrambling to change their legacy and appeal to the West, Capcom's Clover Studio had another plan in mind. Hideki Kamiya, head of Clover Studios, began working on a game that fully embraced Japanese culture. Clover Studios ended up creating a game that is praised today as being the most beautiful game of its generation, and absolutely proves that video games are a form of creative expression. Taking place in a classic Japanese folktale of the sun goddess Amaterasu, enter a masterfully crafted world and embrace the beauty of nature and experience the legend. This is a rapid-fire review of Ōkami. Let's see what this game offers in less than 5 minutes. Ōkami is an action-adventure story game featuring a hand-painted wolf in an environment fully drawn in sumi-e and ukiyo-e traditional Japanese art styles. Its story revolves around the classic Japanese mythology. Ōkami was released on April 20th, 2006 for the PS2. It later made its way to the Wii and went multi-platform. The version I played was Ōkami HD on the Switch. With that info out of the way, let's begin. With not-so-prosperous beginnings, starting Ōkami can be a pain. You have to watch a 20-minute story sequence that starts you off. Ōkami is understandably not fully voiced, but the text is extremely annoying to read and sit through, as there is no voice acting. It's the weird beeps and squeaks that you get from Animal Crossing. There is dialogue, it's just really altered to fit the theme. That just makes it annoying. The beginning is also very slow. It's difficult to figure out what to do. Your objectives are marked in red on the map, but that only tells you where the objective is. It's still difficult to figure out what the objective is. You still have to ponder around experimenting and puzzle solving. This isn't good game design. Forcing a player who just started the game to do all this experimenting right off the bat and confusing them right off the start is not a good quality. The game's pacing is alright. The game has 3 story arcs uniting under one big story. Ōkami, in my opinion, is well paced throughout the second and third arc. The first arc seems shallow and slow and poorly paced. They went way too fast in terms of character building. Throughout the game, you need to collect 13 brush techniques. There are 16, but 3 of them are grouped as 1. But you still unlock them separately, so I'll count them as 16. You get 12 out of the 16 in the first arc alone, and the first arc takes just as long to do as the second arc. It's filled with a lot of filler. Sure, each arc has filler, but they compensate with more important moments, while arc 1 does not compensate. It seems like they really changed ideas up in the second arc. The exploration leads to meetings with a whole cast of wacky characters. There are a lot of great and amazing characters in Ōkami, but they really get interesting in the second and third arcs. Of course, you meet enemies too. Fighting them is pretty fun, but they can be easily avoided. Even though you can simply use the peace bell and every enemy will simply ignore you instead of chase you or something. Combat in Ōkami is really fun, and for a game that isn't action-based, more so adventure and exploration-based, it does a nice job with the combat. You can equip a variety of weapons that do different things. The difficulty is extremely easy though, but that's one thing that's subjective. The game's combat and action is extremely easy. I didn't die once throughout my playthrough. Even if you do die, which is difficult to do in the first place, you have an item called the Astral Pouch. It restores your health after you die, so you still have another chance. What is difficult is the exploration, puzzle solving, and adventure aspect. That stuff can get grueling at times, so I don't feel comfortable calling Ōkami an easy game. It's very well balanced, it's not over the top evil and unfair to you. It keeps things controlled and treats you nicely. Controls are great. You have a wall jump, a dash, and bark. You can learn more moves such as dodges and air jumps later on. A lot are optional, but it's really fun going through and learning them. The main gimmick is a celestial brush. You press L and draw a certain pattern with Y to unleash a command. This works surprisingly well. The way it's used is amazing. It's used for a variety of different puzzles and even combat. The Power Slash is the one you will be using the most during combat, but there's a variety of things you can do. Such as this. Draw a line from Amaterasu's back, aka the solar flare, to the enemy, and the fire from Amaterasu will flow to the enemy and melt its icy shield. It never really gets annoying, and it never really feels broken either. It freezes time around you so you can freely adjust the camera angle. You do have a limited amount of ink that refills after a few seconds, but a few seconds can be too many at times. It's very important that you use your ink cautiously. Ōkami's story flows incredibly well. The exposition is a bit slow, but Ōkami builds big. It starts really slow though, and includes a bunch of filler, like why do I have to find this kid's dog and why do I have to help him build a bridge. There's some filler that turns out to be a wise choice though. In the second arc, you head to the capital, which is covered in a thick fog. You help the city recover, and this is where Ōkami really gets serious. You don't mess around with the second arc, you get straight to the point and only do what's necessary. The story also starts getting really dark. All in all, Ōkami's story is definitely phenomenal. Gameplay pacing can be better, but it's good enough. It follows a pretty straightforward path. Open field, small city, dungeon, repeat. This actually flows really nicely, especially with the way the story is narrated. The music in the game is spectacular, no doubt about that. The sound effects, especially when an enemy confronts you, really feels different and lets you know what the level of tension is. Couple this with the amazing world and you have a winner. The world is huge and beautiful. The whole game feeds you these places to explore, and with its cel-shaded graphics, it really sets the tone for a grand yet artistic adventure. This game is a unique piece of art in a Zelda-like environment, coated with a beautiful landscape and colorful cast of characters, all in the classic Sumi-e art style, with incredible storytelling that will truly open your eyes to the story and beauty of nature, all in one phenomenal package. Okami is incredible, a true artistic masterpiece.